Well, that worked really quickly today. My name's Mandy and I'm with COVID Recovery Iowa, and it looks like we're live on Facebook in our Parenting in a Pandemic group. And today I have with me Kelly. Kelly's kitty named Cooper, right? And Jenny will be joining us again here shortly. So COVID Recovery Iowa came about because of the pandemic being declared a disaster, and the derecho being declared a disaster. And then I was able to apply for FEMA funds to provide crisis counseling assistance, free counseling support that's often needed after a disaster. So we are going to talk about community resources because we took a poll in January, and that's one of the things that our parents in this group wanted to know more about is community resources. So I had heard about Love Inc. I think we reached out to you for like a physical need of, it was maybe a fan once, is how we got connected to you. That's how I knew about you. But then when I reached out to you for this Facebook Live, then I found out that you are not just in the Cedar Valley. The Cedar Valley is, I don't know if it has a defined area, but you're kind of in the Waterloo, Cedar Falls. Kelly says she's from the Applington area. Jenny, you're on mute, but I will unmute you. And are you from?
Our service area is Cedar Falls, Waterloo, Evansdale, Elk Run Heights, and Raymond. Those are the areas that we currently serve through our local affiliate.
Very good. Sounds good. So tell us what Love Inc. is. What kind of, maybe we'll start with services. What kind of services do you have to offer all those areas that you just named off?
Yeah, Jenny, do you want to start, or I can, whatever you want?
Sure. So we mobilize, our vision is to mobilize the local church to meet the needs of the people in our community and in the name of Christ. And so we have 30, right now we currently have 36 partner churches in the Cedar Valley in the areas that Kelly said. And we have more that are planning to join us here. Hopefully by this summer, by July, August, we'll have 45 local churches that are working with us. And we have clients that call into our connection center, which Kelly is our connection center coordinator. She's amazing, does a fantastic job. And they call in, and then we take them through a pretty thorough, I guess that's the word I've been looking for, thorough intake process to see what their, first we kind of start with their tangible needs. What are their tangible needs? Do they have a need for food, baby items, household items, gas cards, water? Do they need help with their water bills, with car repairs, kitchen essentials? We don't help with rent or utilities. That is just too hard to help with, and it's kind of an insurmountable amount sometimes, if those words go together. And we do help meet the tangible needs, but we don't, we're not emergency, and we don't, it's not a handout. We want to do a hand up. We want to help people holistically. So we want to help them not only with their tangible needs, but their intangible needs of like spiritually, relationally, definitely emotionally, mentally. We want to help them in a whole person kind of way, and not just with a need. Here, oh, you go, here's a box of food. We'll see you in 3 months when you can get your next one. Good luck. We wish you all the best. We offer to them if they want to take advantage of us coming alongside them relationally, especially. And that's probably our biggest thing, is we want to help you be self-sufficient, become self-sustaining, provide for your family on your own without having to, we have a lot of clients that prior to coming to us have like gone down Church Row on 4th Street in Waterloo or on Main Street in Cedar Falls, and they'll get a $20 gas card here, a box of food here. That's no way to live. We want to help them live where they feel like they can provide for themselves, which obviously makes everybody feel good. So on Tuesday nights, we have our Begin Now classes, and they can come to those. We offer them 3 times a year, spring, summer, fall, and they're 10 weeks each time. And each time they can take a different class, if you will. They can choose between affirmative potential, successful living and faith and finances. So we try to teach them how to live successfully, being self-sufficient, breaking the cycle of poverty, not passing it down to the next generation. And so we just, again, we try to meet the needs, and Kelly can follow up and touch on anything I didn't touch on, but just really holistically, seeing them as like they are a dearly loved child of God. And we want them to understand that and come to know that and, you know, feel, I'm not a huge fan of the word empowered, but to feel motivated and confident that they can do this, be successful on their own.
So I can speak a little bit
People-
to the resources that we offer. Jenny mentioned a lot of them, but I'll fill in kind of the gaps of some of the other ones that maybe didn't get mentioned. So I'll just go through a list, and then Mandy, if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer those. But we can help with used appliance purchases. It's a program in which we contribute part of the cost, and the client would contribute part of a cost towards a used appliance. We do baby supplies like diapers, wipes, basic clothing items, baby wash, all of the essentials that you need for a baby until that child turns 2. And then if you have multiple children under the age of 2, you can apply for both of them and get separate amounts for both of those babies. We can help with bus passes and also bus tickets out of town for essential appointments. So things like medical appointments, job interviews, things like that, social services, mental health appointments. We want to make sure that you're getting to the things that are really important for your well-being. We can also do a gas card in that category as well. We do minor car repairs and maintenance. So we want to keep your car going so you can get to the important things in your life, especially your job. So we love to help with oil changes and brakes and tires and just some of those minor expenses. We can also help with car insurance occasionally, vehicle registration renewal, things like that. In December, we help with doing Christmas gifts for the kids. The families will contribute a small portion of the cost, and then get to go shopping for gifts for their children, in which those are deeply discounted. We also help with cleaning supplies, sorry, my cat just hit my computer. Cleaning supplies, like mops and buckets and sponges and floor cleaner, all the stuff that you might need when just getting set up in a new home, or maybe that's just not something that would make the most sense for you to be spending your money on right now. We'd love to help with that. Minor home repairs, so we can financially contribute towards a bill for that. We do need to approve that before the work is done. And so we would be paying a contractor or somebody directly for very minor things like a leaky faucet or maybe hanging a door, something like that. We also have volunteer groups that can help with those sorts of minor repairs. We do identification cards like ID or driver's license. And one of our most needed resources is the food and the essential boxes. So those are big boxes of food, and then they can also include personal essentials and household supplies. So all the consumable products that you go through quickly, paper towels, toilet paper, wipes, all that stuff would be included in those boxes. We do also have a furniture ministry for people who maybe have transitioned into a new home after coming out of maybe a difficult situation or circumstance, maybe homelessness or things like that. And those we do have a waiting list for, and that waiting list is often full because we can only keep about 30 names on that at a time. But we do try to get through those as quickly as we can and provide gently used furniture items for people who might need them. In kind of that same vein, we also want to get people off the floor if they're sleeping on the floor. And so we have a mattress purchase program in which we can contribute part of the cost towards a mattress for the household. We do kitchen boxes, and that's your pots and pans, glasses, silverware, all the things needed for setting up a new kitchen. Occasionally small appliances can get included in that. If somebody needs a microwave or a coffee maker, we would be happy to help provide that. linens, which is bedding and towels, home medical equipment, things like incontinence pads, just first aid supplies, as well as larger items like walkers and wheelchairs. And we try to work with medical professionals that are helping you. So we like to have a conversation with maybe a physical therapist or a doctor if they're willing to talk to us about maybe what your specific need is and whether or not that's covered by your insurance. And if it isn't, we would love to meet that need. In the summer, we are able to help with moving assistance. And so those are volunteers that if for some reason you physically can't help yourself move, we would be able to put a group together to help you move your items if that's a legitimate need for you. Occasionally we can do phone cards or phone replacements, things like flip phones, truck phones, just kind of your basic to make sure that you are able to be accessible. In the fall, we do a Thanksgiving box. We can also do transportation requests. So if you have a reoccurring need, once a month, we'll set you up with a volunteer to have a ride to that reoccurring type of need. So some people utilize it to go grocery shopping once a month. Some people have a reoccurring checkup, a doctor's visit once a month. Some people use it to get to the food bank. And so we try to partner you with somebody that you can build a relationship with and feel safe with, and we'll have a reoccurring volunteer come and pick you up. We do help with water bills. That's kind of the only reoccurring utility that we can help with, but we'll help with a portion of that water bill. And then finally, we help with work uniforms and work required footwear. So those are kind of our physical ministries. Jenny already mentioned our Begin Now classes, which are more of the supportive next steps, I suppose, if somebody wants to get more assistance on an emotional level. So yeah, any questions about that so far?
Just that it looked like you had that list memorized, but that seems almost impossible because that's a long list. That's impressive. I had no idea.
Yeah, we call our ministries gap ministries, and that word gap comes from seeing that there's been a gap in the community. So recognizing that maybe there aren't enough of those resources in our community, and so our church partners, our volunteers have decided we want to fill that gap and make sure there's enough resources available to our community in those particular areas.
So I have a comment just through the COVID Recovery Iowa counseling support services that we've been doing. I do feel like we've heard a lot of need for diapers and wipes. The car repair thing has been a need. Rent assistance, I know you said that that's not something because it often is a big amount, but that is something that people have been looking for. And food. So I mean, some of those things are really important for people to know about that you help with. So how does somebody, you talked about the application process. First of all, 36 churches, it seems like a huge support network. So I think that's pretty cool. And you were talking about growing to 45. But so how does somebody apply for, maybe there's probably a different application process for each thing or whatever, but how does somebody go about that?
Yeah, so we have a couple ways to apply. We do have a website, which is Love Inc. CV, which stands for cedarvalley.org. And there is an online application on there. And that's just your initial contact with us. So you can apply online anytime. Or we have a call center, which we call our Connection Center, which is open for incoming calls from 9 until noon on weekdays. On days like today, when the schools are closed or delayed because of weather, that Connection Center is not open. And so you would need to call another day. So winter weather does affect us as well because we're run by volunteers and we want to keep everybody safe and off the roads if we can. So so you can call and apply. So once you have called us, we're going to ask you just what your basic needs are. And then we're going to put you into what we call our queue. It's just the line in which we call you back. Jenny mentioned earlier that we're not considered an emergency resource. and that our focus is more relational. And so I just want to echo that as being very true. And so essentially, when you put in your request, we put you in a line in the order that we receive those requests. And so everybody gets a call back in that exact order. So we don't prioritize one need or another. We just make sure that it stays fair and that we're just calling everybody back in that exact order that they put those requests in, regardless of what type of request that it is. And we're volunteer run. So our volunteers come from those different partner churches. And so depending on the number of calls versus the number of volunteers we have, it can take anywhere from a day to 2 weeks to receive a call back for cat. My keyboard. To receive a call back for help with those requests. When we give you a call back, we do that intake process that Jenny had mentioned, and we just try to get to know kind of what's causing that need. So not only what the need is, but maybe the struggles behind the need. So maybe it's loss of income due to a job, or maybe due to COVID. Maybe it is a car that stopped working, which has caused some financial stress, or whatever it is, just unemployment or whatever kind of struggles is going on behind that need. We want to identify and just get to know you and how that's affecting you. And so we'll just have a brief conversation with you about that and how you're doing. And then essentially, depending on what that need is, we will then schedule an appointment for you at one of those partner churches. And so you would then go to one or more churches to pick up the items that you are in need of. So one church will provide food, a different one will provide baby supplies, a different one will provide gas cards. So we try, my cat is trying to knock my computer off the table. I'm so sorry. So we'll get you scheduled at one of those partner churches to get the needs that you have. Each need has a different eligibility on how many times you can receive that, depending on what that is. If for some reason transportation is not possible for you and that you don't have a car, we do utilize our church volunteers to make deliveries to people who generally need those items.
It sounds awesome. So another thing I've thought of now that you shared that and the going to churches to get the resources, you said that Sheldon, Rock Valley, and Oskaloosa are 3 Iowa towns that also have a Love Inc. program. So if you're not from the Cedar Valley here and you want to connect with a Love Inc. program, there are other options in Iowa.
Yeah, please look those up. And each affiliate runs a little bit different. So the resource list that I went through might not be the resource list that those other affiliates have, but I know some of them have different programs. One of them runs a low-cost thrift store. And that's not something that we have in our area, but it is a resource in Oskaloosa. So if you are closer to one of those other resources, make sure to reach out and find out what services they do offer.
How about, we have all kinds of parents in here. We have staff that often watch these Facebook Lives too, so that they can better help people. Are there any questions or comments from anybody that might be watching today? If you put that in there, I can pass that on. And then also just wondering if there are volunteer opportunities.
Absolutely. We're always looking for volunteers. We have a lot of different opportunities. I will talk a little bit about the Connection Center, and then Jenny, if you want to mention Begin Now volunteers, that would be great. So the Connection Center is our call center, like I mentioned, and we have plenty of opportunities there, from receptionist, which answers the phone. Currently, those spots are filled, but we do always keep kind of a waiting list or backups in case somebody is sick, and occasionally a spot will open up there. Our biggest need in the Connection Center right now is people to do those intake calls. And so if you're comfortable on the phone and having a relational conversation with somebody and able to listen to people without judgment and be encouraging and supportive regardless of their background or circumstances, we would love to have you. So that's a great opportunity. We also are always looking for delivery drivers to drop those items off at people's homes. Especially during COVID, there's such a high need for that, because a lot of times people are homebound they're quarantined and they can't go out. And so we don't want them to feel the pressure to have to leave their house. And so we want to make sure that they can have a safe contactless delivery if necessary to their home. And then community volunteers are also something that we have a need for. I mentioned our furniture waiting list. We have the resources of the furniture available, but the bigger need is volunteers who are able and willing to deliver those. So we will help plug you into a group of volunteers, or you can bring a couple friends and make your own group. But we really need people who are willing to commit to a once a month or once every other month commitment of being able to drop off some furniture to some of our clients. So those are kind of our connection center opportunities, and I'll let Jenny talk about our Begin Now program a little bit if she wants to.
Super. So like I mentioned before, our Begin Now is Tuesday nights, and it runs for 10 weeks, and we serve a free meal at 5 p.m. Starting at 5 p.m. So volunteers and our clients can come, participants can come and have a free meal, and it's provided by different volunteer groups. So that's another way to volunteer, is to help provide a meal, get a group of people together. And we usually serve 50 people. So it's a good sizable group. And then we have volunteers that teach the classes. So Paige Price is our relational care kind of manager, and she runs Begin Now, and so she's there to help facilitate, make sure everything's going smoothly. But my phone and stop going. And so then some of those volunteers will teach the classes, and some of them just do it session after session, and we need people to sit by the door to let people in. That's always a need. Transportation to pick clients up and to take them home, definitely a spot to volunteer, and it's such a good relational time.
Did you say where those meals take place? If you did, I missed it.
Yeah, at First Presbyterian Church, downtown Waterloo. It's a good location. That's where we have a high clientele volume from the 50703 zip code. So it's kind of a good central location for clients to get there. But again, we will have people that go pick them up and take them home, which is really great and very, very helpful. And a lot of our clients that have, after they've completed like basically their 30 weeks, the 3 10-week sessions, they graduate. We're kind of developing, that into more and beyond. But a lot of them come back and volunteer. A few weeks ago, my family and some close friends, we provided. I was thinking we would need to stay and serve the meal, but there was these 2 wonderful ladies there that said, nope, we're here to serve the meal. So you take a hike, get out of here. And I was like, thank you. That was just so great. It was just such a good love story. And we do have so many love stories of real life transformation. Like we said, it goes so much beyond. And it's up to the client how much, help they want from us. But it can go so far beyond a box of food. It just goes into relationship and mentorship. And some of our volunteers just sit and just listen, and the clients will pour their hearts out, and we can help them get better and help them improve and, change their circumstances and get out of an unhealthy relationship. We are there, and point them to other organizations that can help, like the job, help them get a job. We can walk alongside them, but there's other ministries that also help and organizations that help too. So
one other volunteer opportunity, you mentioned a lot of people are parents, and our Begin Now does offer free childcare during those classes. And so another opportunity that some of our parents really enjoy is helping with those. Or coming and serving in a different way while a different volunteer watches the kids. So you can kind of have a little break from those babies for a little bit. But we do want to remove some barriers for our clients to be able to attend that. So childcare, food, and transportation are all included in that program.
Very nice. Well, you were talking about the expressions of love. And so we got to send some good vibes Jenny's way too, as she's joining us from a medical facility, getting some of her own needs met. So we'll send you some positive energy there too, Jenny.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I don't see any questions or comments in there today, but if I'll have Kelly go ahead and send me the links, some of the links that she talked about to their website and to that app, if that's okay, the application. And we can put that in the comments for people to easily access and look into more. But yeah, thank you very much for your time
Yeah, thanks, Mandy.
and for your
Thank you,
mission.
Mandy. Glad it worked out.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks for watching.